to Let's Facebook and YouTube. And I'm your host, I'm Winnie Ohinikisi. 2 weeks ago, we looked at some of our food sources, obviously looking at our backgrounds as Africans and how we can make healthy food choices. And I was privileged to have a dietitian consultant with me, Mr. Douglas Chenefo, and he took us through all the different foods and the calories that they deliver to us when we try to consume them. If you missed that one, please, I suggest you go back and watch it because it was an eye-opener. Tonight promises to be a very, very insightful program. But before we get the ball rolling, let's take an advert. We'll be right back.
At World Remit, we understand what the journey is about, how it can sometimes take a little distance to bring us a little closer together. With ways to save more when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.
Well, welcome back, viewers. I hope you have connected yourselves with your friends and family on Facebook and on YouTube because we are live now. Tonight's topic, why mothers die. And I had a lot of questions and a lot of feedback from people trying to find out what all this was about. And one interesting one I had was, why am I focusing on why mothers die and not talking about why fathers die? Well, I hope you join in to listen because I thought of all the feedback and all the questions, that was a very interesting one. Of course, tonight we are looking into maternal mortality and morbidity with Ghana in focus. And I think this will probably be a reflection of the picture across Africa and across most of the underdeveloped countries. I have two special people with me and I will let them introduce themselves. So please do.
Thank you very much. My name is Bright Jampo and I am an obstetrician gynecologist. And I work at the Lieutenant Dunstable Hospital and I've been there since 2008 as a consultant.
Wow. Welcome, Dr. Jampo.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Karen Billington and I'm a nurse provisionally, and then I'm a midwife and I'm a practice development midwife as well as a senior midwife in practice as well.
Welcome, Karen. I've spoken to you both and I was really waiting on this one because we've had to reschedule this program weeks ago, isn't it? So yes. It's really great to have you all here to Omega Live Studios. I hope you are comfortable. And let's get the ball rolling. Why mothers die? I mean, you gave me that topic, why mothers die. So I was really keen to know why that was the case.
Right. I think this is a huge question, and there are so many aspects to it. But before we even get to that point, I think it's worth knowing that Karen and myself are both trustees of a charitable organization, which is the Trio Bridge Foundation. And we've got three other trustees, George Noilate, who is a business application consultant, so these IT systems. We also have Rose Quatin, who is a diabetes specialist nurse.
Okay.
So she's also one of the trustees. And we've got Papa Ozu, who's a reverend. In all these things that you do, you tend to require somebody who will, support you in spirit and support you and guide you as well. So there are 5 trustees on this charitable organization. So we've been, someone may ask, how did we even come by forming this charitable organization? before we even get to why mothers die, because that question of why mothers die potentially can take about 6 hours to discuss, because there are so many aspects to it. So we thought about forming this association or foundation quite a while ago. I remember when I was living in London, I used to do radio programs, talking about health. But somewhere around 2017, having practiced in this country, I was trained in Ghana, Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, School of Medical Sciences. And I trained there and did my house job and a senior house officer level at the 37 Military Hospital. So I know some of the practices there, albeit I left Ghana quite a while ago. And having done my postgraduate training here and trained all the way to a consultant level, I can relate to what things are happening in Ghana and what is happening here. And I can see the difference. And I can see that there are certain things that we do here in terms of maternal health, which is somewhat a bit different from practicing and back home. So in my mind, we thought, okay, what can we do to help? Because at the end of the day, we need to put something back into the community, isn't it? So what can we put back into the community here? What can we put back into the community back home in Ghana? This is where it started. And I believe it also started by the sheer zeal and desire to improve maternal health.
Absolutely,
if I'm practicing here and I'm helping people, is there any reason why we cannot transfer that skills back home to help others? And it's not just Ghana, all the developing countries. So this is how it started. But also, it was like, okay, you've got the idea, who do you share it with, okay? And there were people around to share with, like George, Rose, Karen. And the next stage was the who, how, what, and when. So you put these things in practice. And it was like, okay, we needed a platform. Because you can't just pick up your things and straight away go to Ghana and say, hey, this is what I've got. You need a platform. You need somehow someone who will buy into the idea. Someone who will be able to enforce or at least put this idea into practice. And the idea is simple. The idea is absolutely simple. If you work together, okay, then it's good to train together. That is the basic principle. It is akin to football teams. They train every day, and at the weekend, they go on the field and practice and become competitive. And because they train together so often, everybody knows what to do. Okay, so it's something similar. So, and that is something that is done in this country, and it's been going on for quite a while. Now, don't get me wrong, years ago, this country was facing the same situations, the same challenges. But they decided to put things in place, and one of the things that they realized that can be very, very essential, very important, is to institute or put in place a form of structured training. What kills mothers are obstetric emergencies or maternity emergencies. Now, if you have an emergency and you don't have a team that will manage the emergency, the outcome will be poor. So we said to ourselves, and Karen and I have been involved in this type of structured training way back from 2018 or so, 2008.
So just to ask, or we're not interrupting as such, but obviously having trained in Ghana and then working for so many years here, are you trying to say that that kind of teamwork wasn't so much in place in Ghana?
The couple of years that I trained in Ghana, I do not remember ever being involved in a teamwork training exercise, except for just one occasion when I was in 37 Military Hospital, where we had some soldiers coming from America to train us on blast injuries, how to manage blast injuries. And it was a teamwork approach.
Okay.
So the basics is there, you know, the awareness is there, but it wasn't put into practice. And I don't remember ever after that, ever having a teamwork training or a team training exercise. It doesn't happen. Whereas in this country, almost every month in our hospital, there is this structured training program. And we train together on these obstetric emergencies so that if it happens, each and every one, hopefully, will know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And that is what has been going on in this country and is making much improvement. You know, it is not easy, but it's doable. So we then said, okay, we're going to introduce this in a couple of hospitals, because if I train in 37 Military Hospital, that was my focus. That was where I can comfortably go back and say, hey, I used to be here.
Because you have the links.
So, hey, you know, prodigal son, I'm back.
I'm back, yeah.
But also, we thought we needed a little bit more than just that. Fortunately, in 2018, I think it was 3rd of March 2018, there were about 14 Methodist bishops who came to this country on one of their conferences. And we knew that Methodist hospitals, the Methodist Church has several hospitals in Ghana. So it was an opportunity to speak to them. And George, who is a trustee, being a member of the Trowbridge Foundation, and also a very good Methodist, who incidentally was part of the hosting team, you know, called me and said, look, just come and let's talk to these people. And this was 3rd of March 2018. It was a very, very cold winter evening that we assembled, and we had the opportunity, George and I had the opportunity to speak to them, and it was a bit daunting, you know, 14 bishops, you know, coming with their entourage. But we thought, yes, this is an opportunity. If we can sell the idea to them, they may like it, they may not like it, but we will try. So whilst they were having their pepper soup, you know, and shivering in the winter cold, we thought, okay, Bright, they gave me 15 minutes to talk to them. So I introduced the concept. I spoke to them about, you know, we know that the maternal mortality rates in Ghana is high. The morbidity rates are high. This is what we are doing in this country, which is helping. Also, we tend to get, you know, equipment, you know, items that, you know, mothers can use back home in Ghana. It is potentially going waste here. If I'm able to get these things, if we're able to gather these things, are you guys happy to support, get it to Ghana to be utilized to the benefit of our mothers?
Right. So you started the links through the UK.
Yes.
And then you went back home. Just let me give you a break. And Karen, so you have visited Ghana a number of times now. What was your first experience like as part of Trowbridge? What did you experience in Ghana?
I think I was certainly very shocked to hear so many people talk about family members that had died through childbirth.
Right.
And it's something that we don't hear in England. And I think that motivated me to be able to do something when we looked around at the different areas and saw what we could add and share, because we weren't just taking things from England, we were actually sharing things, and there's lots of good things in Ghana. They do 100% breastfeeding rates, absolutely fantastic, something that we don't actually have here. So there's things that we can learn from each other. So we're not just taking what we know, but we're sharing, and we're combining ideas and learning from them as well. But I think that the motivation and the friendliness and the keenness to actually do something good, and I was kind of overwhelmed, I suppose, by the people and the fact that they really were so embracing of what we could do, and they would have had to stay there, I think, forever if they could. I think it was just, it felt a really good thing to be able to share that and to be able to do something worthwhile. I think sometimes we take things for granted here, and when you see the differences and the simple things that we can take, we're not talking about expensive things, we're talking about communication skills, we're talking about practical skills that can enhance practice and make our practice better.
Right.
And I think that's what we can give to them, and we can share their ideas too.
Yeah, I think a lot of missions fail because people have these ideas and try to do stuff. But a lot of missions fail because we go condemning even before we start. How good or how bad was it? Was it a shock, such a shock in terms of the disparity between practice?
I think
practice?
Equipment-wise, yes, definitely. They didn't have the resources that we have.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that we always use our resources well here either. So we're not perfect by any means here. We still have things happen in practice which shouldn't happen. So it's not just about we're better than a different area. We're not. We can share things. I think there was a big difference in some of the areas I saw in the hospitals, and some of the values that I think we've lost in England, they've still got there.
Good to know.
The proper basic care skills, which we are so busy that we sometimes, I think, forget. And I think some of the hospitals, it does take me back quite a few years to the old type wards that we used to have, where they had such a pride in the wards, they were very clean, and yet others were so overcrowded, and that we went to an antenatal clinic with no roof, and the things that people just accept because it's the norm there. But I think the overwhelming thing was that everybody wanted to make things better, and they were so keen to improve and learn. And I think that was the most overwhelming thing I got, really, that yes, we may not be perfect, but we do the best we can. And as I say, we are not perfect where we are, and we're always looking to improve as well, and so we can share things with them.
Right. We will come into training, look at the different trainings that you did when you were out there. But let's come to the topic again. Why are the mothers dying? What were the causes that were identified?
So it's not that these causes are not known. Okay, it's been in existence for a very long time. There are, when you just focus on Ghana, there are about 5 main pregnancy-related conditions that leads to, in fact, about 75% of the death cases or mortality cases. One of them is what we call major obstetric hemorrhage. Okay, so essentially when you, during pregnancy or when you are having a baby or soon after having a baby, you bleed heavily. If you bleed anything up to about 500 mils, that's about roughly 2 pints, the body will cope. But when it starts going beyond that point, okay, beyond that point, 1 liter, 1.5 liters, then it's getting bad.
Yeah.
So one of the main causes, in fact, the leading cause of death, maternal death, is heavy bleeding, major obstetric hemorrhage. You know, it's just like, you know, you have a tap in your house, you open the tap is just flowing. If you don't stop it, you're going to run out of water at some stage. The same thing, if you're bleeding and you don't stop it somehow, the woman's going to die, or the outcome is going to be poor.
Yeah.
So major obstetric hemorrhage is one of the main causes. Hypertensive disorders of pregnancy. So the woman may have been hypertensive before she got pregnant, or during the pregnancy, for various reasons, she developed the hypertension, which is high blood pressure. That is also a very significant cause of maternal death. So heavy bleeding, and then hypertensive disorders of pregnancy.
Yeah.
There is also this element of unsafe abortions. Okay, so somebody gets pregnant, teenager, wants to hide it, wants to get rid of it secretly. They either go to, you know, hospital or a clinic somewhere, or they try to do things themselves. That is also a very significant cause. There is a fourth one, which is not only unique to developing countries. In fact, the heavy menstrual bleeding is not unique to Ghana. The hypertensive disorders of pregnancy is not unique to Ghana. It's worldwide.
Yeah.
But maternal sepsis, infection, okay, it is not unique to Ghana. It's across board, all over the world. Maternal infection also, including COVID, by the way, recently. It's a major concern. And the other thing, which is a little bit more unique to Ghana, is early pregnancy problems like ectopic pregnancy and miscarriages. When we say ectopic pregnancy, we mean the fertilized egg, unfortunately, for whatever reason, failed to get into the womb where it will naturally grow. So it may get stuck in the tube, it may get stuck in the cervix, or that's the neck of the womb. If you've had a cesarean section before, for instance, it may get stuck to the cesarean section scar. We've got incidents of, you know, situations where the pregnancy is actually in the abdomen. It failed to go through the tubes. So it gets stuck to the bowels, it gets stuck to the ovary, for instance. These are serious conditions. So these 5 seem to be the main causes, but there are others as well. Something like obstructed labor, for instance. So the baby gets stuck days on end. You know, it might be in a rural area somewhere. You know, there's no recognized doctor to take care of them. Traditional birth attendants, by the way, they are great. They are very good. But there are certain complications that they cannot manage. It has to be sent to a major hospital, a main hospital. So obstructed labor is a problem. What we call venous thromboembolism. So you develop a blood clot in your legs, it gets thrown into the lungs. That is a killer. Again, that one is not unique to Ghana. So blood clot, pregnancy itself, carrying a baby, is a risk factor for developing this clot in your legs and lungs. And then there are other things like, you know, anesthetic problems. These are indirect causes. Anesthetic problem, mental health. It's an area that is not managed very well, and this is not unique to Ghana, but mental health problems is also very, very important. So these are some of the causes, okay? But I think at some point we will come to why they die, you know, and that is where what I said, these are emergencies, obstetric emergencies. If somebody is bleeding, we need to manage that person very quickly. If a woman has sepsis, infection, it needs to be tackled ASAP within an hour, okay? And all these things need team working. You cannot do it on your own. If somebody is bleeding, it needs a team to manage. It cannot be a junior doctor or a junior midwife or everybody working in silos, no. And that seems to be the difference between what we do here and what is done back home in Ghana.
Yeah, so in terms of statistics, how does it compare? Because
Right.
obviously it must have been bad enough for you to want to embark on this journey. How bad is it?
How bad is it? Okay, let's compare this. In this country, currently as we speak, if 100,000 women get pregnant or go to have a baby, okay, 100,000 women, they are pregnant, you're having a baby, about 8 or 9 of them will unfortunately lose their lives. So 8 out of 100,000, okay? And this is from the Embrace report. It's probably 9 or maybe 10 by now.
Yeah.
But that's the number. If you look at the causes of these 8 or 9 out of 100,000 women losing their lives, they are similar to what is in Ghana. But there's more of cardiovascular diseases. So the woman, we didn't even know that had a heart disease, a heart condition. So it is quite a small number. We can even do better. And we are even striving to actually cut down that number. Now, if you talk about Ghana, okay, years ago, we were in the 450s per 100,000.
Right.
Okay, as at 2015, the last time I checked, 2015, there were 320 women who died out of 100,000. And 2017, about 308. So there is a gradual reduction in the numbers that die from, say, 2002 all the way to 2017, the last time I checked. But the reduction is so slow. It is very slow. So to put it in a more practical way, if I am a woman coming to have a baby in Ghana, for instance, looking at the figures, I am probably 30 times more likely to lose my life.
Wow.
That is a lot. And that is not acceptable. Some of these deaths are unnecessary. Some of them can be prevented. So what we are saying as the Trowbridge Foundation, what we are saying is, if we introduce or empower our colleagues back home with the knowledge of managing these obstetric cases or emergencies as a teamwork, we empower them. We use that holistic approach and evidence-based, and that is very important. These things are evidence-based. It's not plucked from the skies. There is evidence that if you do this way, A, B, C, the outcome will be better. So if we're able to empower them with this evidence-based practice, then chances are we will be able to reduce the maternal mortality rate and morbidity rate, just as it's been done in this country.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is these are even the documented ones. So we can imagine all the remote areas and those kind of statistics which will never ever be documented. So comparatively, this is a scary
it is scary, but I must emphasize that yes, it is happening, but it's getting better, but it's at a very, very slow rate. It's 21st century, we should be doing far better than that. And that is why it is one of our passion, to carry on doing this work, keep going, training with our colleagues, and see whether we can make a difference. Even if we can reduce this by another 1%, it is an achievement.
Yeah. Any single life saved is absolutely important, isn't it? Yeah. What I think we've planned to do is to look at all these courses in detail in other sessions, isn't it? Because there is so much content when it comes to each and every single one of them. So we will do that in future sessions.
God permitting.
God permitting, obviously. And I'm sure you, Karen, you've heard that so much. A lot. Yeah. Well, very, very important. But tonight we want to focus on Trowbridge. Because like I said, a lot of people will have similar missions or similar ideas. But it's one thing having the idea, it's another thing bringing it to life and making it successful and sustaining it. So, Trailbridge, so now you are in Ghana. Obviously, after talking to the Methodist bishops, yeah, you enter Ghana terrain. How did you break through and get started?
Where do we start?
We spent a whole year planning, didn't we? We did a lot of planning, lots and lots of meetings. I was introduced to the food from an early day, and lots of planning.
So by meetings with who?
We met with each other initially because we needed a plan, and the organisation of it is quite difficult, really. Actually, bringing people together that needed like-minded people.
Yeah.
But also strategically how we were going to do it on the other side in Ghana as well. Yeah. Because there's a lot of plans from the other side, and I didn't have a lot to do with that, I must admit, but my trustees did. And it was planning on the other side for how we could get to places, organise the teamwork, lots and lots of phone calls and meetings with people in Ghana. And it took a long time to organise those meetings, didn't it, really, to make sure that we had everything set up when we went there, because we only have limited time when we get there. We have to make the most of the time that we have. And we planned 3 different programmes when we were out there to go to different hospitals. And so an awful lot of planning went into it. And I think a lot of communication. Because it was a very tight schedule that we had to use our time wisely, really. I think the course that we planned, we did a lot of work into planning our own course. So we developed our own course, which was a multidisciplinary obstetric simulation emergency course for trainers as well, so that we actually showed them the course. And that part of our organisation is really to be sustainable and we can't be there all the time. We wanted to train people to be able to do their own training. As you said before, people come and do courses, but they come and they go. And I think what we wanted to do was come, share the learning that we could have and make sure that they could keep it going as well, because it's not just about us coming and doing training. It has to be carried on for all the staff, and people need to take responsibility for it and be empowered to use that training and make it their own, because otherwise once we've gone it doesn't happen anymore. And so we put a lot of planning into being able to give in people the tools to be able to carry on what we start, and then we check back and we monitor how they do for that as well.
I think we will shortly ask the producer to show some of your activities in Ghana.
But before that, so because I worked at 37 Military Hospital, I was able to link up with one of my military colleagues. And as Karen said, it took a lot of communication. I must say, Ghanaian type communication is a little bit different, but in the end we got there. You just can't walk into the military hospital and say you will probably find yourself in the guard room.
I can imagine.
So
to get permission.
The buy-in had to come from the top, and George's connection and mine, we were able to liaise with one of the top hierarchies. So we were eventually given the permission to go. So on the first trip, which was 2018, we went to 37 Military Hospital and Wenchi Methodist Hospital. That was a lot easier because we had met them here, we had had a chat, they had agreed, so they were ever so waiting for us to come. So our first trip was 37 Military Hospital and Wenchi. The second trip,
places on that particular mission.
For that particular mission, 2018. And then in 2019, we did 37 Military Hospital again. We did a session in Wenchi, and then we focused on Ankasi. which is the
Right.
Ankasi Faith Methodist Hospital,
Okay.
which is in Kumasi,
Right. I
Ashanti
think
region.
at this stage it will be very helpful for us to see Trowbridge in motion, I will put it. Yeah. So if our producer is ready, if you can just let us see, let's take time and watch some of the clips of your activities. You can talk through as it goes along, but I think it's absolutely fascinating to see the work you've done so far. So while we wait for that, obviously you were all working here in the UK.
Yes.
So somebody must have.
So you want to get to now.
I'm sure
The airway is secured. The airway is secured.
So it's done. Okay, so can we send
I will finish. Let me listen to the when I
Collapse is one of the scenarios that we run. So we're training them how to manage such cases. And overall training can really be fun. So on this occasion, for instance, you can see that they've wedged the woman so that the pregnant, the big uterus does not press too much on the big vessels to enable blood to flow to the heart.
Yeah.
You've got a team who are attentively listening to the leader. So the leader is giving instructions and they will be following those instructions. And that is the teamwork that we're talking about. As somebody who is collapsed, you can never manage such a scenario on your own. Yeah. So this is the training that we did at 37 Military Hospital, and it was fun. It was absolutely enjoyable.
Yeah, so it always sets the scene for them to receive whatever information you have. I think along the line we will probably look at some of your other very interesting videos, because I find them fascinating to see the sort of training you are doing. So if you can just tell us more about your activities in Ghana, like practically.
Yes.
And I think Karen, you are more into the training side of things, isn't it?
That's what I do in my main job anyway. So I do that, and we've both done it for a very long time. So it's something that we know quite a lot about.
Yeah.
And I think we put together a 3-day program. So we did a train the trainers course, and then we stood by them training their own staff as well. So we supported them to do their own training.
Yeah. So what kind of people are you training? Is it just midwives? Just
No,
doctors,
we
or?
definitely multidisciplinary. We've got lots of health reports here, and they all come out with the same things, that we, like Bright said, we have to train together. We all work together. Historically in England, we used to train separately. We used to train, midwives used to train separately to doctors, and it doesn't make sense when you're actually working together that we were being trained differently, similar but different. And part of our training is not just the practical skills, but the communication that we have with each other within the team, because we know that you can have all the practical skills, but you don't make a good team if you don't communicate effectively together. And mistakes can happen because you're not sharing. So while we're doing the practical skills and we're practicing, we're not aiming to teach them new things, we're aiming to practice things that we don't come in contact with every day of the week. Because these are the things that when they actually happen in practice, as Bright said, we need to know what to do. And because these things don't happen every day of our working week, we need to be ready to act when we need to. So we familiarise ourselves, we practice, but we observe the communication within the team as well, and we get others to get used to looking at their own practice as well. But we involve the whole team. So when we work in the UK, we involve our care assistants, we involve our doctors, anaesthetists, our midwives. In fact, we use nurses and nursery nurses. We involve everybody that is part of our team in maternity, and they all train together, because There's no point training one group of people because you're not going to get that collective effect if you don't all train together.
So how easy was it to put that together, like in Ghana? Because obviously they wouldn't have been used to having a whole team, multidisciplinary team involved in a steady session, isn't it?
Yeah.
So because they knew we were coming and we gave them the structure, they prepared for it. They made the doctors and nurses and midwives available. So that was okay. The other thing that we also did was we prepared the logistics, the things that we needed to do the training. And something like, infusion, for instance, blood. We prepared these things, artificial blood. We prepared all those things. The mannequins, our hospital was so helpful. They gave us a couple of mannequins for free for us to go and use. And then the way the training goes is such that you prepare a scenario, and then you talk about the scenario, and then that guides them as to this is where we've reached, this is what is happening, what do we do next. So everything was prepared here, and we shipped them to Ghana. So by the time we got there, all our items are there, and then we just set it up and did the training.
That must have taken a lot of incentive, isn't it? A lot of how did you generate all the money and all the resources that goes into these activities? Because it's not easy, even doing it in one hospital, let alone trying to do it in a number of hospitals.
I guess to start with, the trustees were quite keen on getting this done. So for the first trip, most of the things were from our own pockets. Being a charitable organization, we paid for our own plane fares. But over the couple of years, we've been doing some fundraising here and there, on Facebook. Not huge amounts are coming in, but enough to at least support certain things that we're doing. So one of the drive now is to increase, our quest to get, funding and support. But once in Ghana, the host teams, provided for accommodation, and we also contacted a few other benevolent societies. And I remember on our second trip, for instance, Alaji Kalmoni housed us in one of his flats. So if we're able to advertise this, adequately, I think the support is there. But for now, we pay for our own air flights.
How many of you were on a trip?
Originally, on the first trip, there was about 7 of us in the group, wasn't there, originally? And there was some more people in Ghana that joined us, wasn't there? But our team we had an anaesthetist, a couple of obstetricians, a couple of midwives. Do we have anybody else? I think that was it. And George with our IT support. It grew a bit the second time round, and we had a few more people come along. Bit more bit more difficult
15,
to organise.
We were
not as many, but
10, 11 on the second
11.
trip. Yes. Going with a bigger team can be quite challenging, because you have to manage them. They get very excited about the whole thing. So, but the bottom line is, anybody that we take them have the skills. They are passionate about teaching and training, so they're able to give what we expect them. We just don't take anybody. There are, the doctors I go with are the doctors that I work with and I train with, and I think with time that will be the same criteria. There should be a criteria to it, but we can't do this on our own because it's getting bigger. Lots of hospitals are keen for us to introduce this. We cannot, and we work within our annual leave time. And as Karen was saying, our first trip was all business. So we will seek to expand, but expand in a more controlled way.
Because it's very important you are not burnt out, isn't it? It's already quite
It's
a
definitely
challenge.
not a holiday.
Yeah, it's definitely
We worked very hard.
It's important we establish these because
Yeah.
for a lot of people watch it, and for this particular show, those who watch are more into like professionals, and they will be interested in these activities and would want to join. So what will constitute a team, for instance? I mean, this is Obs and Gynae, so I can imagine everyone being in that field. But do you absolutely have to be in obstetrics and gynecology to be able to join your team on a mission, for instance?
Well, part of our Trio Bridge Foundation is bridging across different disciplines as well. So originally our main target was maternity and maternal health, and that was certainly our first. This is what we do, so what we know most about. But since we've been doing it, a lot of other people from different disciplines have become interested. Definitely diabetic specialists and mental health. All sorts of people have come being interested in different aspects of healthcare. And we see our foundation as embracing those people as well and allowing them or enabling them to be able to do the same kind of work under the same umbrella of what we want to do and improving health. So it's certainly not limited to maternal health, but our main focus is definitely maternal health. But there's so many, and midwifery, maternal health encompasses so many other things. As Bright said, we get pregnant women that have maternal health problems. We have them that have diabetes. We have a very high incidence of diabetes. So all of those things still feed into the same main focus as well.
And to add to what Karen has just said, I mean, unfortunately, COVID, prevented us from going to 2020 and 2021. But the plan for 2020 was actually to go with a bit more larger team. We had definitely an anaesthetist, but a pharmacist was going to be part of the team. Someone from the mental health was going to be part of the team. So the name Trio Bridge, the trio is not three, as people might think. It is training for improved outcome. So it's not just maternity. It can be training in, say, accidents and emergency, for instance. It can be general surgery. It can be anything. But it's a way of training to improve outcome for our patients. And the bridge is essentially bridging the gap between what is happening back home and what's happening here.
Which is beautiful to see. It's like happening live. I trained as a midwife and practiced for 5 years myself in Ghana before having to branch into cardiology. And I remember qualifying as a young midwife and then finding myself in an in vitro fertilization hospital as the only nurse who was familiar with the pathograph at that time. And obviously the doctors were keen to get that in motion, but I had far experienced practically, but not very willing to adapt or change their ways, midwives, and plus all the new equipment they wanted to get in. But it was a challenge because obviously I was the only young one or only freshly qualified, and the others were like, no, not ready for change. Equipment is always a problem. How shocking was it for you, Karen, to see the kind of equipment? Because people need these gadgets to work with. Like in COVID, people are desaturating because they are not taking in. The only way to check that is a SATS probe to check. How shocking was the equipment there?
It was quite shocking, actually. We went into the A&E area in one place and the drawers were empty, and the equipment was probably more like antique things, I suppose, to us. However, I think it wasn't even just that. They had equipment that had been donated to them that had never ever been out of the box. It had never been used because they didn't know how to use it.
Them.
So you know, part of, like we talk about training and sustaining it, if you give somebody equipment, they need to know how to use it. They had a brand new CTG machine that they'd never used, and in fact was now obsolete because it had sat in a box for a very long time, and they actually didn't make that model anymore. But they'd never used it. We set it up and used it, but they'd never ever used it. So it's not just about having the equipment there, but knowing how to use it and using it effectively. Because if you don't use it effectively, it can be just as dangerous as not having anything.
You see, the reason why I'm asking this is, you know, a lot of communities in developed countries like Ghanaians, people want to go back and help, and they buy a lot and just ship over there. But from this, I gather it is not enough just providing the equipment when they don't know how to use it, isn't it?
No,
So
definitely.
in your own mission, do you have to go with equipment as well?
We have taken equipment over there,
Yes.
definitely.
As I said, our hospital, you know, they've been so benevolent. They gave us, I remember we had about 5 ultrasound scan machines. Our neonatology unit, you know, offered us these incubators. You know, when babies are born and they become jaundiced, phototherapy units. You know, they gave us all that, and we shipped it to them and donated it to the hospitals. And I can, you know, we can proudly say that 37 Military Hospital, for instance, the machine that they got, the ultrasound scan machine that they got, helped them set up an early pregnancy unit. So they are now scanning their own patients. They don't have to wait, you know, for patients to go and have a scan done elsewhere. They were able to use that to diagnose ectopic pregnancies and manage them accordingly. So it is making a difference. Now, we should also remember that pregnancy is not just the mother. Okay, there's somebody growing in the tummy. So one of the things that we also do is to teach them how to monitor babies, or at least not teach them, but upgrade them, upskill them to what the modern methods of fetal monitoring is. So we've had a couple of you know, talks about whilst in labor, how you monitor these babies. And Karen mentioned the name CTG, which is just a machine which, you know, we strap them to the machine and it monitors the baby's heart. But how to interpret the tracing, like an ECG, you need to know somebody, or you need to have somebody who can actually interpret it. So one of the focus when we were about to go 2020 and 2021, unfortunately, was to hold training sessions for them as well, as to how to accurately read CTG, because it's not just mothers who are dying. Babies are also dying.
So Trowbridge, let's focus on Trowbridge now. How much more do you want people to know about your missions? As we try to round off, how much more?
How much more? Well, I think it is worth we being out there. It is worth showing the world that we can help. We can put something back. There is a structured way of training together, and it's important that doctors, nurses, and midwives who work together need to train together. And we can actually extend this not only in maternity, but in other aspects of healthcare. We've not even tackled, yes, these are the causes, but why do they die? And I think maybe if you have time,
I think it's very important, because that was the subject,
touch
isn't
on
it?
Yes, because we've talked about you know, the causes, but why do they actually die? You know, and there is no single answer to that. Okay, and I believe that it's multifactorial. So many factors come into play. And to make it simple, you could probably let's think about the woman first. Okay, and then think about the hospital or where they've gone to seek help. And then also think about what is the government doing to support these health centers. Okay, so I think some of the problems from our opinion is that there's probably not much education around the red flags when it comes to pregnancy. So are they women being educated enough to look out for? I'm sure they are doing them, but is it working? Also, what we could also think about is, do they have the logistics to help them get to the point of care? So ambulance systems, for instance, in this country, when you're not well, you call a number, somebody comes, pick you, take you to the hospital. Yeah. Recently, there's been, the government has managed to buy ambulances. Whether it's being used appropriately, that's something different. But, how easy is it for these pregnant women to get access to the hospitals or to the healthcare centers? Do they have to cross bridges and rivers and, if somebody is not well, they just pick this person, put it in a car, rush down. So these are some of the logistics that, it's probably not there. And then also it appears that some of them report a little bit too late. And this has been a problem for a very long time.
Yeah.
Financial constraints also, I believe, plays a very important role. So, yes, I'm not feeling well, or I can't feel my baby moving very well today, or I've got a headache. But for them to get to the hospital, it is cash and carry. Yes, recently, or maybe over the past 5 years or so, they've got the National Health Insurance Scheme. But how many of them have it? And are they reporting on time simply because of these constraints? So these are some of the factors which lead to, unfortunately, poor outcomes because they are not reporting on time. They don't have the logistics to get to the hospital. And when they've got to the hospital, what is the care that they receive? That is also very important. Are the skills there? Is the help that they need easily available? For instance, you've got to, if you have an obstetric problem, do you have to go through the accidents and emergency to get to where or you can directly go straight to, a maternity unit? Because over here, for instance, we have day assessment units, we have, triage wards. So if you have a problem which is related to maternity obstetrics, you know exactly where to go. And once you get there, there's a staff member there to manage you, accordingly. I remember when I was in Ghana working in the A&E as a senior house officer, I was a master of everything. I was managing obstetric cases, cardiac cases, everything. I can never be an expert in that. Do we have such experts manning such areas? Probably that is a question that we have to ask. Also, as I said, the staff who are there, do they have that technical know-how to be able to manage these cases? I mean, situations like hypertensive disorders in pregnancy, it can present in so many ways. So if the woman ends up in a private clinic, for instance, a small hospital somewhere, do they have the staff to be able to manage such cases? The Karen mentioned equipment, fetal monitoring, for instance, are they able to monitor these babies accordingly? One of the things that we also notice, and I think everybody probably will allude to this, attitude, staff attitude. Okay, sometimes some of these things. A typical example: we went to train, And we gave them a time for the training. We said, because it's a whole day training, we aim to start at 8 o'clock. So we were in a hurry, Karen, UK time, we have to get there at 8 o'clock. Come on, let's go. And we got there at 8 o'clock. We set all the training, everything. 8 o'clock, there's no one there. 8:15, nobody. 8:30, nobody. 8:45, one person treks in and then comes. 9:30, you look on the field, two people walking slowly coming. You see, that laid back attitude is absolutely phenomenal. The other thing also is accountability. When things go wrong, you try and look at why it happened. Because it is learning from your mistakes that is what will make you better. Unfortunately, there is no structured risk management. And I'm sure in so many workplaces in Ghana, businesses, they do have a risk management structure. Unfortunately, there isn't that well-established risk management in our hospitals in Ghana. Right. So if somebody passes away, for instance, or if there's a poor outcome, do they investigate to find out, potentially in a no-blame environment, to find out why did this thing happen? These are the reasons, A, B, C, D. Okay, then we are going to put things in place to try and stop this thing from happening again. That doesn't happen, unfortunately. So if something happens, somebody passes away from, say, major obstetric hemorrhage, it is probably reviewed and that is the end of it.
How can we change that?
It will require a huge culture change. And one of the things that we do is to try and introduce this risk management structure. Because without accountability, without owing to what you have done, the problems or the mistakes that has happened, you will never ever be able to get better. So that is also something that needs to be looked at. One other thing that I particularly noticed was lack of guidelines. We talked about evidence-based practice, okay? So in this country, if you're going to manage somebody with major obstetric hemorrhage, this is the guideline. We all sing from the same tune. I struggle to find guidelines, and I know this might be controversial, but that was my observation. The practice is based on what my consultant does. Okay, so if my consultant does something which may not be the best practice, then we all practice that way. Yeah. I can tell you of a story about someone who is having a baby. The baby's shoulder got stuck. That is an obstetric emergency for both the mother and the baby. There is a way to deliver the baby. There's some maneuvers that you have to go through. And this is one of the things that we train them when we go there. On this occasion, they were not taught how to do it. So they managed it in a way that they thought was the right thing. It's not their fault. They've not been trained how to do it. Yeah. The doctor who was in charge was doing something completely out of sync to what is actually meant to be done. It is not his fault. He has not been trained how to manage such cases. So that element of training is absolutely important. Accountability is absolutely important. When things go wrong, we have to own up to it and say, yeah, hands up, we did this, we didn't do it in the right way. This is what we're going to investigate, pick up where we could have done better, and then put things in place so that we will be able to do something completely different next time. Yeah. So it's a host of reasons why mothers unfortunately pass away.
Yeah. From all you've said and through the avenues you've entered into the Ghana terrain, like through the 37 military hospital and then through the Methodist Church, but this is a countrywide problem. So these areas are just a tip of the iceberg. And like some of these things you want changing have to be government policies trickling down through training programs and all that. How far can you get through as Trowbridge trying to push some of these policies forward? And how high up did you get to in your links when you got to Ghana?
I think on our first trip, we managed to have an audience with the vice president's wife, Mrs. Samira Baumia.
Oh, okay,
yes,
wonderful.
Yes, we managed to sneak our way into her office, and
Invited.
we were invited. Yes, and we had a lengthy discussion with her. We aim to keep this discussion going because, as you said, it's a nationwide problem. But these are small building blocks. We need to take a step at a time. And one of the things that I was going to say was, the current government, I think they are putting so much into health. I know Kolebu Teaching Hospital, for instance, they've got a few new units, cropping up. So things are happening, and we are hoping that with our connection with Samira, Mrs. Baumia, hopefully things will take off in a different dimension. And this program, this training program, can easily be replicated everywhere. And if we can get our doctors and midwives and nurses to have these structured training programs on fairly regular basis, it doesn't have to be every month, but on fairly regular basis, I believe potentially with time, it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but the day after, gradually we should see a more steady reduction in maternal mortality in Ghana.
Which will be absolutely awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Karen, is there any experience you would want to share?
Well, I just wanted to add to Bright as well that we've been talking with the Ghana Nurses Association as well.
Okay.
And
That's
looking
based in the UK.
Yes. And discussing with them how we can do some of our training within the nurses and midwifery training as well, because it certainly starts right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to change some people's habits, but if you start at the very beginning and teach people communication skills, and we're looking at how we can put our training or use our training within their curriculum as well, which I think starts at the very grassroots and starts right at the very beginning, so you're growing people that will then embody the training that we want to and the practice that we want to encourage, I think.
Yeah.
And I think we've gone a little bit further in a sense that we've had a couple of meetings with the Ghana Nurses Association. We went to, George and I went to Ghana in June, and we went to the Methodist Health Institute, which is a nursing training school. And we believe that the Ghana Nurses Association will be involved in a similar training program with them. I know that the Pentecost University, who also has, their university also train nurses and midwives, we are liaising with them to start similar training program there, because we believe that if we start them right from the beginning, they will grow up with the culture. Trying to change the culture of those who have already passed, out in training, that is a little bit more of a challenge. But if we can start right from the beginning, then in future, I believe the future is bright.
Yeah, I mean, the activities of Trowbridge are huge. And I'm sure we can do this in like hours, go on and on about things that have to be done. But I think it's very important, and that is the main reason why I do this, that it comes out all the problems and how people can pick them up. The red flags that you mentioned, pick them up will go a long way to do a self-check and refer yourself to a hospital, especially in a place like Ghana, where the resource, no ambulance is going to come probably if you need one. So you must know that I've bled enough to refer myself to the hospital. So I think I can safely say that it will be very important to start looking at the causes one after the other, and how we can manage them practically. So it goes a long way to save lives. So I think we'll round up now, but before we do, is there anything that you want to say? Especially in terms of if there's any contacts of how you raise funds, how people can reach Trowbridge, because that is the most important thing.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry about that. So how do people get in touch with Trowbridge?
I think we've got a website, the Trowbridge.com. So there is a donation page that people can go in and donate. And we also have the Facebook, on our Facebook page. People can go there and do their best to support the activities that we are doing. We're going to do our best to advertise ourselves more, because, as you said, it's a huge undertaking, and we cannot do this always from our pocket. You know, people want to join, people want to be part of it. You know, for the mere fact that they are so passionate about, you know, improving outcomes. So the friends and families and, you know, Facebook groups and Facebook friends, you know, go on our Facebook page and then try and do your best to support us, because we are definitely going 2022.
We are. Definitely.
I'm hoping you are taking me with you, you know. But like I said, for all those who are interested, it's about teamwork. So, definitely. For instance, I am in cardiology, and there is probably no point going in your team if there is nothing in particular I would be useful for. So, main thing is let people be accessible. You know, let's get the message out there. And so all the different contacts I would share on my page, and then keep going. And I'm sure as we do more sessions in obstetrics and gynecology, people will identify with us and would want to take part. So I think on that note, if you have anything to say to add up, we can do that now. And
just to let you know that once we exhaust those causes of maternal deaths or mortality, we can also look at some other gynecology problems that we can go through, because it's all about teaching, it's all about training, so we can actually do the teaching right from here, right from the beginning.
I think also health education. We've done quite a few sessions in England as well with health education. So with the Methodist Church Women, we've done sessions, and we've done things like blood pressure, diabetes checks, and just generalised healthcare, and giving them the education that they may be interested in. So that's another thing that we've been doing in the UK.
Because charity begins at home, doesn't it?
So important. I have thoroughly enjoyed this, and I am so proud, you know, of the achievements of Trowbridge so far, because it is very clear that this is going to continue. Because it's focused, it's very evidence-based, and you have the links, and all we need is to get people to support your missions. I am totally up for this, totally up for this, even if I'll be an errand girl or whatever when we go on these missions. But viewers, we have been looking at trying to bring down the rates of maternal morbidity and mortality in Africa, should I say, but with Ghana in focus. And this group have been amazing so far in their activities in Ghana, but they do need the support. So I'm sure the producer will share their links on my page and on all the other pages, and get people to get into contact with you, because there is no way 5 people or just 20 people can undertake a mission to solve the problem in Ghana. Dr. Braijampo and Karen, I have totally enjoyed this session, and I have no doubt we will do more of these sessions, hopefully in the near future. Viewers, this is what time has allowed us to do. If you haven't shared, please go and share with your friends and family. Martha Nugent is saying this is a very informative session. Keep up the good work, Bright and Karen, and well done, team. And we have some more people. Alberta Kukwa Bruce saying Samira Baumia is an fansman old girl, so go Moga. I went there as well, you see. So she's saying go Moga, yeah. Andrea Pugh, you probably work with her. She says, well done, Bright and Karen, proud of you. This is just the beginning of many more wonderful sessions to come, and I've been so honored to have you guys, out of all your busy schedules, come here to talk to the people about your activities. So, you know what? When we go to Ghana, I will probably try and hook up with some people. Then we can have some sessions there as well, because I'm sure you will have bigger audiences. And it's very important, those places you are trying to affect, know the activities you are there to do. So we will try and organize that. So you have a session like this when you actually go to Ghana, either before the mission starts or at the end of the mission. I'm sure we can sort that out. So on that note, 2 weeks to come, we will be having a breast cancer survivor come to the studio to talk through all her experience from diagnosis till remission. It is an absolutely jaw-dropping account of her battle with cancer. And as you all probably know, this month, October, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So she is looking forward to come to give an account of her own survival story. On that note, I will say thank you all so much for watching. Keep sharing. This has come to you by courtesy of World Remit and through Omega Live Multimedia. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you.
At World Remit, we understand what the journey is about, how it can sometimes take a little distance to bring us a little closer together. With ways to save more when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.